Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Lam, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. Elon Musk now officially owns Twitter. He has fired several top executives and many others are on the way out. Husband of the Speaker of the House was attacked in his San Francisco home. Police have details on the alleged attacker and have made an arrest. And polling is out about some of the major elections upcoming in the state. We'll see who will likely be the governor and the likelihood of several proposals passing or failing. The bird is freed. That's the tweet Elon Musk made after becoming the owner of Twitter yesterday. Musk's first move was firing top executives, and it seems no one's job in the company is safe. As Musk says, he plans to cut jobs. Entity's Jeremy Sandberg has more on the acquisition.
Before closing the $44 billion acquisition, Elon Musk changed his Twitter profile description to Chief Twit. Musk said Thursday after the deal went through that he did not buy the company to make more money, but to try and help humanity, which he loves.
He wants to build a super app. He wants to add payments. He wants to do more video. He maybe wants to make it like a protocol. He wants to verify users. I mean, he wants to do all these big things. At the same time, he wants to cut 75% of all the people that currently work there.
One of his first actions was to fire CEO Parag Agrawal, CFO Ned Siegel, and the company's general counsel. That's according to people familiar with the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the personnel moves. Musk accused them of misleading him and Twitter investors over the number of fake accounts on the platform. The anonymous sources say Agrawal and Siegel were escorted out of Twitter's San Francisco headquarters when the deal closed. Musk has talked about the importance of free speech, and it's widely assumed he will make fewer limits on content that can be posted. The billionaire entrepreneur says he wants to prevent the platform from becoming an echo chamber for hate and division.
I think there is a chance that one of the first things he'd like to do is bring back everybody that was banned or bring back everybody that was controversial. Certainly that's part of his MO.
That's not to say there will be no moderation moving forward. Musk said in an open letter to advertisers on Thursday that Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. Goals he's outlined include wanting to defeat spam bots on the platform and be transparent about the algorithms that determine how content is presented to users. Twitter shares were up Thursday, ending the day just under the price Musk paid. The stock will be delisted from the New York Stock Exchange Friday. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
A reporter from our sister media, The Epoch Times, checked out what was happening at Twitter's headquarters in San Francisco. So far, there has been no sign of the new boss.
Media personnel wait outside Twitter's headquarters in San Francisco for a chance to catch its new CEO, Elon Musk.
Maybe a new start. Maybe the company can become profitable, and I think that would be good. Maybe more openness, more dialogue. That's what he says he wants to do, Mr. Musk, so we'll see.
Some Twitter employees were laid off as whole departments were done away with, including top executives.
Hopefully they'll land on their feet. They're probably competent people, techies, that type of thing, programmers.
In a tweet, Musk said Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints, and it will not make any major decisions until the council convenes.
Reactions are pouring in after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked this morning. Entity's Iris Tao has more on the latest developments.
More details are emerging after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was attacked at the couple's San Francisco home early Friday morning. The Associated Press reports that Paul Pelosi was struck several times in the head and suffered blunt force injuries. But Nancy Pelosi's office says he is expected to make a full recovery. And more on the attack itself. Multiple outlets are now reporting that the intruder shouted, "Where is Nancy?" before attacking the lawmaker's husband. The House Speaker was here in D.C., not at home in San Francisco at the time. The local police department gave us more details on Friday afternoon.
At approximately 2:27 this morning, San Francisco police officers were dispatched to the residence of Speaker Nancy Pelosi regarding an A priority well-being check. Our officers observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it.
The police identified the suspect as 43-year-old David Deebo of California, adding that he'll face charges of attempted homicide and assault with a deadly weapon, among others. But the reason for the attack is still unclear.
The motive for this attack is still being determined.
And reactions are pouring in from both sides of the aisle. The White House says President Biden has spoken to Nancy Pelosi this morning, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called the attack a dastardly act. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Ted Cruz tweeted, quote, "We can have our political differences, but violence is always wrong." And Steve Scalise, the House Republican whip who was himself shot in 2017 at a congressional baseball practice, has also joined in condemning the attack, saying violence has no place in this country. And now Capitol Police are considering stepping up protection of lawmakers following the latest attack. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Iris Tao, NTD News.
As the midterms approach, polls are checking how Californians may vote on significant state matters. From the current results, it looks like the governor will hold his seat, but several propositions will likely not pass.
According to polling from the Public Policy Institute of California, published on Thursday, Governor Gavin Newsom leads to hold the governor's seat, but several major propositions for the coming midterm may fail by a wide margin. Newsom's lead shrank to a less than 20-point margin, with 55% of the vote going to him and 36% going to Republican challenger Senator Brian Daly. The support is largely partisan, with 91% of Democrats favoring Newsom and 86% Republican favoring Daly. September's numbers show a much wider margin, Newsom 58% and Daly 31%. The polling also expects three major propositions to fail in the state, those being Props 26, 27, and 30. Prop 26 would allow sports betting at Indian casinos. 57% of Californians say they will likely vote no, with 34% in support. Prop 27, which would legalize online sports betting, is facing more opposition. 67% oppose and 26% are in favor. Lastly, support for Prop 30 has been dropping in recent months. The proposition would raise taxes on people making $2 million or more. Currently, 52% oppose and 41% support. That's a large switch since July, when 63% supported it and 35% opposed. The Prop 30 swing may have come about with Newsom and groups like the California Teachers Association opposing it.
The city of Los Angeles is inching closer to recalling a councilman who was caught in a controversial recording that has led to two of his colleagues resigning. That's after he and another councilman were censured earlier this week.
A group of residents filed a notice of intent to recall Los Angeles Councilman Kevin De Leon on October 27th, amid growing calls for him to resign. De Leon is one of two remaining councilmen who are under fire after a recording was released online earlier this month of a derogatory conversation involving three councilors in 2021. This is the fourth grassroots attempt to recall the embattled councilman. His spokesman told the Epoch Times, despite the newest effort, De Leon would keep moving forward important projects and issues that threaten the communities and the lives of his constituents. On Wednesday, the LA City Council voted unanimously to censure Councilman De Leon and Gil Cedillo for their roles in the City Hall scandal. The clerk's office told City News Service this is the first censure since at least 1911.
This council completely separates itself from the actions of those members that took place in that meeting and everything that it stood for. That doesn't reflect our values, it doesn't reflect the values of this city.
The council also called to censure former council president Nury Martinez, but a representative from the city attorney's office said it was unclear if the council can censure a former member. Neither De Leon nor Cedillo have resigned. They remain after calls were made from almost all their council colleagues, as well as political figures such as President Joe Biden and Governor Gavin Newsom. Both haven't attended a meeting since October 11th when protesters forced them to leave. Cedillo cannot be recalled because there is not enough time before his term expires in December. De Leon's term runs until December 2024. The organizers need to collect signatures from over 21,000 registered voters in the district. 15% in total in 120 days if the petition is certified.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what's coming up next. One of the first meetings was held to discuss zero-emission trucks in the state. Industry experts say the state is asking for too much too fast. Also in fossil fuels, the governor is still pursuing a windfall tax against oil companies. He says they made huge profits while prices reached some of their highest levels in the state. Industry experts disagree. And a restaurant in San Francisco is offering fancy food just for dogs. The top chef says he is hoping to improve people's knowledge about feeding pets in a healthy way. That and more on California Today. As the state moves towards a no fossil fuel model, industry experts are warning about how much that is going to cost. They say the state also lacks the necessary infrastructure to meet with proposed changes.
The California Air Resource Board held the first two hearings Thursday on its zero-emission truck mandate. The proposal sets goals despite practical concerns and lacking industry-scaled charging infrastructure. Chris Shimoda, a senior vice president of government affairs for the California Trucking Association, wrote in a commentary on CalMatters, this proposal will only increase costs, erase working-class jobs, and strain our overburdened electrical grid by pushing for too much, too fast. Under the proposal, more than 500,000 zero-emission trucks will be on the road by 2040. That number is expected to triple by 2050. This means roughly every 1 out of 3 new trucks being sold in the state needs to be zero emissions. According to a California Trucking Association analysis, to power this new clean air trucking industry, California will need to install 800 chargers per week. That will require charging capacity somewhere from 64 to 158 megawatts. That's enough energy to power about 120,000 households. The association continued saying that trucks will need to carry 8,000 pounds less goods to offset the weight of large batteries. Adding more trucks and more drivers amidst the current trucker shortage could drive up consumer pricing even further. Additionally, the truckers could be required under the new regulation to buy vehicles before they are built and before the proper charging infrastructure is in place. Shimoda told CalMatters, quote, "We're flying blind into some pretty major questions about the practicality of actually implementing this rule."
A Northern California man was arrested for allegedly manufacturing assault weapons from his home. Authorities say he made them with 3D printers and other tools.
After several months of investigation, Brentwood police arrested 23-year-old Scott Leeper on Thursday for allegedly making 3D printed guns from his home. During the investigation, detectives learned he possessed several firearms that were not registered with the DOJ. They executed a search warrant and found ammunition, 3D printers, 2 semi-automatic rifles, 30-round magazines, and various parts or tools used to manufacture weapons. Leeper is booked into Martinez Detention Facility.
The governor has continued his pursuit of a windfall tax on oil companies. Supporters say oil companies took advantage of consumers by making profits while prices were high. Opponents claim that high gas prices are caused by a series of events, and additional tax would add to inflation.
Governor Gavin Newsom called for a windfall profit tax on oil companies recently, and he targeted Valero on Tuesday. He said oil companies took advantage of consumers while gas hit record high prices this year. A windfall tax is a special tax when a company or industry makes a sudden profit. Nonprofit advocacy group Consumer Watchdog supports the governor's proposal, saying that Californians have been an ATM for oil refiners for too long. Oil companies responded by saying that the profits came from worldwide demand being higher than pre-pandemic levels. David Hackett, a fuel industry expert with Stillwater Associates and member of the California Energy Commission's Petroleum Market Advisory Committee, told the Epoch Times that the additional state tax could add to both inflation and consumer costs. He added that a series of events caused a hike in gas prices in California, including COVID, layoffs, scheduled maintenance, the war in Ukraine, and a heat wave in the state. According to AAA, California gas prices remain the highest in the nation, partially due to state gas taxes and added regulatory taxes. Republican Representative Young Kim, along with other conservatives, have asked Newsom to suspend the state gas tax in response to higher prices. Internationally, the United Kingdom adopted a temporary windfall profit tax on oil companies this summer.
On Wednesday, the California Attorney General and other state attorneys general sent a demand letter to Albertsons. They demanded the grocery chain delay a multi-million-dollar investor payment. The demand comes after Kroger announced it would be merging with Albertsons. Earlier this month, grocery chain Kroger announced its unanimous approval to buy out its competitor Albertsons for $24.6 billion. The decision has been met with multiple concerns from lawmakers and officials. Albertsons and Kroger employ more than 700,000 workers in communities across the country. Many state attorneys general, including California Attorney General Rob Bonta, demanded that the merger only happen after certain conditions are met. Bonta released a statement on Wednesday saying that he and 5 other state attorneys general sent a letter to Albertsons demanding that the payout be delayed until the Federal Trade Commission has completed its review of the proposed merger. The attorneys general say they want to ensure that the proposed merger does not result in higher prices for consumers, suppressed wages for workers, or other anti-competitive effects. Bonta said Californians are feeling the high cost of inflation every time they pull out their wallet at the grocery store checkout. The proposed merger requires careful review to ensure their customers and employees do not pay a price through higher grocery bills, food deserts, and lower wages. According to the agreement, Albertsons is expected to pay shareholders a cash dividend of $4 billion on November 7th. A fine dining experience for dogs has opened in San Francisco. Pampered pups can feast on a tasting menu that includes fancy dishes like steak tartare with quail eggs.
Exquisitely crafted desserts made from the finest ingredients. These wouldn't look out of place in the most exclusive of French patisseries. Except Chef Rami Mazerve isn't making cakes for human consumption. These will end up in the bellies of San Francisco's most pampered pooches. Mazerve, a classically trained chef, says a huge amount of care goes into the food.
When we make our food, it is a process. It is very time-consuming. There's a lot of technique. There's a lot of method and detail to what we do. Our pastries, for example, take about 2 days on average to make. I know they're going to be eaten in 2 seconds.
Dogue, to rhyme with Vogue, just opened up in the city's Mission District. It caters for hungry dogs and for owners who want to spoil their 4-legged friends.
Our tasting menu is more of an experience, right? It's as much an experience for the dogs as it is for the owners, for the humans. I don't know sometimes who has more fun.
Dogue claims to offer the world's first fine dining tasting menu for dogs. For $75 per pup, furry diners get a multiple-course Bon Appetit meal featuring dishes like chicken skin waffles and filet mignon steak tartare with quail eggs. It also includes a mimosa and a treat for the owner. Some critics have expressed outrage over the price point for the pampered pets, pointing out income inequality, gentrification, and homelessness in the city. For the cost of the tasting menu, you could buy at least 5 burritos at one of the many nearby taquerias in the Mission neighborhood. But that doesn't put off customers.
I wanted to celebrate him. He's so special to me. He's my 4-legged child, and this is like the perfect place to do a really nice celebration. We're foodies too, so I guess he is too now.
It's probably not something that we would do all the time, but it's his 8th birthday, so we kind of felt like we could splurge.
Mazerve says the ingredients he uses are not cheap. Everything is human grade, but if you took a bite, you'd probably find the doggy dishes to be a bit bland for the human palate. He says the real goal of Dogue is to raise awareness about feeding dogs fresh, healthy, natural ingredients, which some research shows can be easier on their stomach than mass-produced dog food. He says he consults with the veterinarian to ensure all of Dogue's meals are safe and contribute to a balanced diet.
Next, we have NTD's Thomas Christian for your sports roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. Stephen Curry saved 10 of his game-high 33 points for the final 5 minutes and 32 seconds of the game, propelling Golden State to a victory over Miami. In the first two duels of a 6-day stretch between last season's NBA titleists and Eastern Conference regular season champs, Golden State's Andrew Wiggins had 18 points and 10 rebounds, the latter heading a dominant boards effort by the hosts. Jimmy Butler had 27 points and Bam Adebayo had 26 for the Heat, who were playing for the second night of a back-to-back, having won 119-98 at Portland 24 hours earlier. Warriors 123, Heat 110. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 24 points to lead Oklahoma City to a win over visiting Los Angeles. The Thunder swept the two-game set against the Clippers, clinching at least a split of the season series for the first time since 2018. OKC downed the Clippers 108-94 on Tuesday. Luguentz-Dort added a season-high 21 points on 9 of 15 shooting for the Thunder. Alexei Pokusevski contributed 15 points, Trey Mann 14, Kenrich Williams 12, and Aaron Wiggins finished with 11. Thunder 118, Clippers 110. Kings fans everywhere watched Thursday's game in anticipation of their 4th overall draft pick Keegan Murray's first official NBA start. Instead, they watched as their squad fell to a Grizzlies team looking to make a deep run into the playoffs this season. Desmond Bane was 6 of 8 from three-point range and scored 31 points to lead Memphis to a victory at Sacramento. John Morant added 22 and 6 assists, and Brandon Clark added 16 points off the bench as the Grizzlies won for the 4th time in 5 games this season. De'Aaron Fox scored 27 points and Harrison Barnes added 20 for the Kings, who are one of 3 winless teams in the NBA, along with the Los Angeles Lakers and Orlando Magic. Grizzlies 125, Kings 110. 49ers star wide receiver Deebo Samuel is still dealing with a hamstring issue that has kept him out of practice all week, according to Dave Lombardi of The Athletic. Samuel and fellow receiver Jawan Jennings have yet to be mixed into a single drill as of Thursday, raising the potential for both of them to be benched on Sunday against the Rams. The loss of Samuel in the lineup is enough for the 49ers to get desperate about the situation, but a potential loss of Jennings as well is a hard blow to San Francisco's depth at the position. If neither are healthy, Brandon Ayuk will take the field Sunday as the wide receiver 1, and San Francisco will be forced to rely on Ray McCloud and Danny Gray in the passing game.
And that's all for your California Today Sports Roundup.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like for you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcast on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Lam, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful weekend.